everybody. Let's go ahead and open your Google Classroom and go to the assignment that we're working on, which is called Feature Article on How Students Are Coping with the Pandemic. And once you open up your assignment, you'll see that this is your writing assignment. Your name is Scoop Newsworthy. That's your pen name. And by giving yourself a pen name, then you can write about yourself in the third person. And you're not stuck with having to say, I did this, I did that. So, you are writing an essay for Live Happy Magazine. Live Happy Magazine goes around the world, okay? So, you're going to have to cast a big net when you start to talk about the subject. You're going to have to make it applicable to the nation and the world, and I'll show you about that in just a moment. And you're looking into how students are coping with the pandemic, focusing on one student to better illustrate how others might pick up these coping skills. So here you'll see your title is already done for you. It's called Coping with the Pandemic, A Student's Tale, okay? And there's your byline. That's what the person who writes the article, that's what they call it, by Scoop Newsworthy. Okay, so now we're going to look at the template that I want you to learn. And you've seen a lot of different templates over the years, kind of preparing you for the FSA assessments. You're old enough to remember back when they were called FCATs, and now they're going to be called something else, who knows what. But the thing is, all of the assessments are based on a certain type of format. And because I'm a newspaper reporter for 30 years, I understand where they got that format. It is the straight up news format. You have an introduction. In newspapers, we call it the lead. And then you have 3-point paragraphs where you're going into 3 different points. Why 3? The brain loves 3. Well, and then you're going to recap that introduction in your conclusion, right? Am I right? And you're going to state those 3 things over again. Doesn't that sound familiar? Okay, so for this assignment, you will either use a hook or an attention grabber or not. This is a rather serious topic, so you may not want to use it, or you can use it. I'm going to leave that up to you. But let's start us off with a shared topic sentence. You can make it your own, obviously, but just in general, this is your topic sentence. See, this is the format, the hook, topic sentence, and points 1, 2, and 3. So this particular article is, this topic is going to be students across the United States and the world. See how you want to cast a big net because you're writing for a worldwide publication. And this publication is called Live Happy, is very interested in people, or the readers are very interested in decreasing their stress, lifting depression, and essentially just living their best life, okay? So students, what I'd like you to do is start typing this sentence right here. Take your cursor right after where it says this is your topic sentence, put it right here, and start typing. Students across the United States and around the world are dealing with the stresses of the pandemic in a variety of ways, such as, now we're going to take out your assignment. Let me just grab one here, randomly. Okay, so this student wrote 3 things I enjoy doing. You'll remember back the assignment, and if you haven't done it, it's posted before this one. It's called Getting to Know You. And I talked about what are 3 of your favorite things to do in your free time. And, keep in mind, I was setting you up for this. You didn't realize it. The pandemic is very stressful. What do you do that kind of helps you to get away from your problems, reduce your stress, lift your depression, and essentially just having a good time to help offset the stress, okay? So, this person wrote listening to music, video games, being outside. So right off the bat, because I'm going to just initially list them, 2 things I'm going to do. I'm going to make it parallel construction. So I'm going to say listening to music, playing video games, being outside. Now, these are all very general, and that's good. If you put playing basketball, I would probably make it real general to begin with in the introductory paragraph and turn it into playing sports, for example. Okay, so in a variety of ways, such as listening to music, playing video games, spending time outside, or spending time in the great outdoors, something like that. The next thing you would do is you would end your introductory paragraph with a reflection sentence that talks about the importance or the relevance of a story that you were telling. So you want to answer two questions for the reader. Hold on a second because we're filming this and then I'll get to you. One is, why should I be reading this now? And why should I be reading about this? You know, why is it important? And why is it important to read it now? So it's important because everybody's dealing with the pandemic and everybody's dealing with the pandemic now, okay? So you might say something like, these coping skills can be valuable to other students who are facing similar stressors, such as increased anxiety and deepened depression during the pandemic. And somewhere in there, throw in capital COVID-19 virus somewhere in this article, just to make it, you know, specific. Well, hope we're not going to have a pandemic every 10 years. Hopefully we'll always know it was the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, now you're going to do a transition. You might say, first of all, Michelle Lowe likes to listen to music because it increases her mood and it decreases her stress level, whatever it was. And I'm just kind of setting it up. I'm repeating the prompt, you know, talking about dealing with stress during the pandemic, and that this is one of the ways that this student that I'm going to talk about is coping, okay? So now I've set her up. I've made my point. I've reminded the reader what we're talking about, and now I've set her up. So now, Michelle, may I read out one of these quotes?
You should read.
All right. I'm just going to assume, what?
You should read somebody else's.
Oh, really? Okay.
You should read Nick's.
All right, I am filming right now. I don't have to, there's no cutting here. Okay. All right, one thing I enjoy doing in my free time is hanging out with my friends. It's something I enjoy, I guess, because I like the company. So there's like a quote to go into. All right, and now after you write your quote, now remember we talked about from the Odyssey that we're studying, how descriptive they are. We tasted our grief, all these things. So you want to build in figures of speech. And, you know, what does something smell like? What does something taste like? Kind of a thing. Get really detailed. And what does this person look like? Now, I might say, let's say I'm the person. Said Linda Gaffey as she, all right, so it's listening to music, right? Okay. As she put in an earbud and brushed back her auburn hair. And brushed the hair out of her light brown eyes. You see how you can, guys, listen. See how you can build details about what your subject looks like, kind of like along the way or by the way? And you can do that as well about their personality. You know, after you quote them, go into a little bit more detail. And then you might say, now we're going to talk about the point paragraph. I'd like you to memorize the acronym PEACE. What you're going to do with your point paragraph is you're going to make your point. That's the first P. And so you say, like we just said, in the pandemic with the extra stress, Jill Smith likes to listen to music. And then Jill says, I like to listen to music because it totally gets my stress away. I can totally forget everything and just listen to my tunes. Said Jill Smith, or said Jill, who is a student at Bayside High School in Brevard County, Florida. So now you're going to start to build in the details about where you're from. That's more description about you. It's really excellent. Okay, so after the P for point, then you're going to give evidence, and that's the quote. So whether you're pulling evidence from another document or publication, or whether you're quoting somebody, that's your evidence rather. So evidence, and then attribution for A is who said that? Said Jill Smith. Or if you're pulling information off of Google, like we're going to do for one of these paragraphs to say what are the benefits of listening to music, you can find a study and cite that study to back up how important it is to listen to music during the pandemic. Then the last is elaboration. You can go on and tell more about that. So you're not limited to one paragraph. You can take that one paragraph and consider it like a subsection or a subhead. I, as a newspaper reporter, never hide my quotes. I set them up, I make my point, I set them up, and then I hit return and I go into a fresh quote. You see that in newspapers and magazines all the time. They start the paragraph with a quote. And then, so you'll do that 3 times. So, and you're gonna weave in your details about what the person looks like, you're gonna weave in the details about their personality, you're gonna weave in the details about where they're from. Now let's say, for example, if somebody likes football. So we're gonna say, you know, I love playing football, it really gets my stress out and I get to really connect with my friends that we play football together. Said James, who plays for the Bayside Bears, and he hopes to turn that into a NFL career. And this will be great for him because the Palm Bay area, though it has its engineers who make $110,000 a year plus to supply the space and defense industry on the Brevard County Space Coast, they also have a number of new Americans coming in from Caribbean nations and Central American nations who are looking to start off and make a better life for their families, and may start off on lower paying jobs such as caregiving or cleaning homes and businesses. So an NFL career would definitely be a boost to James's himself, his family, and his community. So you're going to do that 2 more times, and then your closing graph is going to be a rewrite of your introductory paragraph, and you'll see what's in there. You have your transition to wrap things up, or whatever's your transition, and you're going to rewrite the purpose of the article again. And let's just scroll right down to the bottom, and you're going to say, at the bottom of every paragraph too, you're going to reflect on that paragraph. So sports is an excellent way to deal with stress in a pandemic. And then you're going to go into your next paragraph. So at the end, really all I'm saying here is closing graph, which can be a rewrite of your introductory paragraph, but use all different words. You start with your transition, you restate all 3 points, and then you have a reflective statement on the article, the importance or the relevance of it. So it's going to look like that first graph at the end of your introduction, but change it up. So these coping skills may be a boon or a plus to many students around the nation and the globe who are looking for ways to cope with the pandemic. Boom.
Oh my God.
All right, cut.